Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Solo Apocalypse, taken from Royal Road. If you have the time and you enjoyed this chapter or any of the following chapters, please head over to the link in the description. Give the author a follow or a thumbs up or a review or 5 stars or whatever it may be whenever it is you listen to this. It helps the author out significantly, which is a good thing. Anyways, on to the story. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Prologue. I floated amongst the nebula of stars, bursting colors, galaxy, planetary bodies, and space dust, dominating the view of creation. The place seemed to swirl, blurring, as if time itself moved differently. Then it slowed, compressed, and my perspective shifted. A paragon stood beside me, as if he'd been there the whole time, looking out towards space. It was an amicable silence. I had no idea where I was, how I got here, but nothing ever happened without reason. Welcome to your Genesis, human. The man, his body an exemplar of perfection, spoke easily. An undercurrent of intrigue, amusement, and routine were all evident in his tone. He was looking around at the view. Your kind have interesting notions of rebirth. Rebirth? I said slowly, looking around as he did. I am a god, the man said simply, and your world is being born again. That simple statement, absurdity of the situation, and his calm demeanor managed to convince me to take his words at face value. If this was an illusion or a hallucination, was there really any harm in going with the flow? Why? Instead of some great answer, some final reckoning or calamitous event, the answer was anything but. No reason in particular, the god spoke. I am sure that your kind will attribute meaning to the years to come, but there is truly no deeper meaning than the cycle of entropy, a random chance. I see, I said, skeptical. And this rebirth, what exactly does this mean for Earth, and why am I speaking to you? For your planet, it means the destabilization of society as you know it, the altering of the very structure of your world. It means natural disasters the world over, the death of billions, new species and creatures to populate a vastly new world. His words spoken with such surety, as if he'd been seen the countless times before, made me shiver and grow cold. But with the shadows come light, wonders anew, technology and magic beyond your civilization could ever hope. A new frontier, a world that is vibrant and alive, teeming with mystery and new discoveries. As for me speaking with you, he continued, my attention on his every word, entropy once more, a random chance. Or in other words, he'd been bored. I suppose it would get boring, I shrugged, gesturing to him, doing whatever it is you do. A conversation with a mortal might not be terrible for your mental health. The god glanced at him, smirking. Perhaps not, he smiled, lapsing into comfortable silence. You, spoke of Genesis, I eventually asked. This place, he answered. It is your notion of rebirth and renewal, a concept from your subconscious. Here, you shall be given the tools to thrive, if only you seek it. What does that mean? Simply open your eyes to what has always been there, a selection. He waved his hand, and suddenly the colors in the astral sky became something else. Pinpricks of light, some dimmer, others brighter, each one unique. An offering tailored to the life you've so far lived. Every achievement and feat, every demonstration of skill or ability, every habit and tendency, and offering for every moment of significance. My eyes took in the entirety of my life and found myself wanting. The colors of space seemed muted now, rather than vibrant. The swirls of light had condensed, shrunk, but left the sky black and lifeless. Gone was the celestial glory, replaced by a candle in comparison. This is me. I thought to my childhood, the friendships I'd made only to be torn away as my family moved. New relations sabotaged by divorced parents, their eventual deaths. The way I had barely coasted through high school, then through college. Not a single meaning in any of it, yet I'd raged against it in my own way, a silent defiance that something would come. I was waiting. I'd been waiting my whole life for something or someone to sweep me off my feet, to hit me with the sudden certainty everyone else claimed. The gift of looking forward and knowing which way to step. I still didn't know, but that step awaited me. The new world sounded dangerous. The way the gods spoke, the death of billions, how likely were people to die during the first day of all of this? Survival. It wasn't exactly something new to me. Trying to live on what amounted to rations, scrounging out an education and scholarship. Not new, no. But to survive in the face of a natural disaster, against monsters and dangers that actively sought my life. That was new. I touched a pinprick of light so far and yet so close. A gesture, a thought, enough to bring it to the newfound focus right in the palm of my hand. One amongst thousands, despite the dark sky. An offering, as the god had said. A boon. I realized I was too calm. The stark clarity of the detail was enough to pierce my drifting mind. The entire place was too dreamlike, too surreal. I wasn't really here. This was all hallucination. The thought made me panic. The colors swirled, destabilizing. The paragon, the god beside me, spoke firmly. You must choose, mortal, before your time here is over. There were too many choices, too many sensations, too many lights. My eyes glazed over, focusing and refocusing, finding what light spoke to me and which didn't. What offering was best? How was I to know? My time grew short, and I willed myself to concentrate, centering my focus, searching. Hundreds, thousands, too fast to count, too short to consider them all. I tried anyway. I grabbed something, guided by more than my senses, and, in an instant, came away reborn. End of chapter. Chapter 1. My eyes shot open to screams, yelling, and rumbling. I felt bruised, battered, and I realized I was lying in a pile of rubble. I staggered to my feet, groaning, trying to find out where I was. Desks, chairs, a broken projector, bags, and unmoving bodies. The university campus, the lecture hall, was ruined, strewed with debris. People were screaming outside, and some of what I'd feared, were corpses, were actually waking up, groaning like I did. What the hell happened? I rubbed the back of my head. Outside, through the glass windows, the campus was destroyed. I saw something stalk through the plaza, a dog or a wolf, only too large for the distance. I was entranced, confused, but I couldn't take my eyes off of how unnatural it was, how out of place, despite the state of the university. Then someone ran past, screaming, out of reach, beyond any attempts at warning. There was nothing I could do. Its attention flicked to the runner, bloody and obviously injured. Its nostrils flared, and it bounded across the open plaza. I looked away, eyes wide. I saw a flash of red, the scarlet blood, before I could fully tear my eyes from the scene. It put everything into perspective. All the stains in the plaza, the debris. Some of it was, I vomited on the floor, coughing, teary-eyed. Notice, you have gained solo class. Notice, you have gained the class skill, never alone. The sudden bright lettering was less disorienting than it should have been. Solid, smooth, and certain in a world of sudden chaos. His vision blurred, but the words didn't. Hey! We have to get out of here. Anyone else, man? Someone yelled, voice shaking. Oh, what's happening? A girl whimpered. I looked at them, realizing something had blasted through the lecture hall. There was a body smeared across the floor, and it wasn't human. I tried to stop myself from hyperventilating, to suppress my shaking hands. I glanced around hesitantly, finding my backpack, school supplies, a laptop, a water flask, nothing else. I pulled it on, grip white knuckles on the strap. Vague memories came back to me, a beautiful astral sky, lights. The notion of apocalypse. I breathed in and out, deep breaths in vain attempt to steady myself. People were arguing in harsh whispers, but my eyes were glued to the outside. The university was in ruins, unrecognizable, not for the fact that it had been destroyed, but it had been spliced with some other terrain. My heart sped up as some lumbering beast cocked its head towards us. Monster! The word rang in my mind as an absolute. We need to go. My voice was shaky. No! I wasn't sure if I was talking to myself or them. It got everyone's attention regardless. Fear and hesitance. I stared back at them for a heartbeat before shouldering my backpack and getting the hell out of the room. Blood and viscera was bound to tickle the nose of anything passing by. Where the hell are you going? Someone called after me. We're good as dead out there. Going outside wasn't the plan. That'd be the same as suicide, with those things roaming around. The lecture hall was connected to an underground lab, the type of experiments requiring thick steel doors and other such precautions. I found the access stairwell, normally unexplored by students and left to professors, lab aides, or other staff. The hallway below was a bleak affair, old yellow lights and clean yet plain linoleum. It might as well have been heaven compared to above. I found one of the doors to the lab room, thick steel with cautionary warnings during active experiments. Unoccupied, going by the green vacancy card. I tugged on it, and I was met with a groaning creak. Something thumped against the other side, angry and vicious, desperate, with enough ferocity to indicate an absence of humanity. I shut the door rapidly, with a hollow thunk, hearing it click back into place, only to find a green, ugly thing staring at me from the end of the hall, deeper into the academic labs. It was an ugly, knobby thing, a humanoid with lanky limbs and uneven features, no taller than my hip. It was enough to make me go cold. It hadn't been there when I'd come down, and it stood in the center of the hallway with eerie stillness. I stared at it, frozen in fear, my mind deciding between fight or fright, overloading at the decision. But no, it was moving, arms slowly raising, mouth revealing sharp teeth. Then it screamed, and I was scrambling backwards, falling onto the plain floors, limbs flailing in a futile attempt to run. It loped at me like a beast, and I cried in desperation, kicking and clawing in my own way. It was grinning at me, at my fear, right up until my foot found its gut. It slid across the floor, hacking, coughing, keening with pain, breathing hard. It took a moment for me to figure out what happened. I'd kicked it, and it felt pain. A surge of emotion came over me, and I advanced, screaming, reared back, and I cracked it across the forehead with another kick. Its head rebounded off the wall, groaning, until finally stilling, scarlet liquid staining the floor. I stood there, panting. Notice, you have leveled up, level 2. What the hell is happening? In the chaos, I'd forgotten about the strange screens, attributing them to some kind of sick hallucination. Reality had settled in. Some twisted version of it. I'd gotten a class called Solo, and a class skill. Everything came to me in clarity, with the barest intention. What is this? Name, Erin winced. Level 2, class Solo. Strength 6, Constitution 5, Dexterity 5, Agility 6, Perception 9, Intelligence 10, Wisdom 13, Willpower 15, Charisma 4, Luck 4, Stat Points 1, Skills, Never Alone. I glanced around, listening for anything out of the ordinary, before tucking into the shadow of the stairwell. Anything coming or going, and I'd hear their steps. Then I turned my focus onto this whatever the hell this was. It didn't take me more than a few moments to realize that this was me, Evan Winst, not particularly fit nor out of shape, no more coordinated or faster than the next, jaded and observant, somewhat studious, determined and resolved, antisocial to a degree, and most certainly unlucky. All summarized. It almost felt like a game to me, until I heard the screams above, a girl's scream. I closed my eyes and tried not to think, tried to calm my breathing once more. I failed miserably. Distraction and focus, I needed both. What was a skill? It had to be useful, enough to tip the scales of survival. It had to be, so I didn't end up like that. I glanced upward, shivering. Skill, never alone. Even working alone, it never hurts to have another set of eyes. Better yet, when they're yours, you are able to replicate yourself to a certain degree and capacity. It came to me in more than just words, confusion at first, then sudden understanding, and intrinsic knowledge of how to use the skill. I didn't take even a moment to consider it. I knew I needed it. I took a step to the side, some instance of myself left behind to fork into individualism, and suddenly I was staring at myself. Me. A man neither short nor tall, and of average build, and generally nondescript save for a pair of pale green eyes. He had the same messy hair I did, the same clothes too, a pair of joggers and a hoodie, comfortable, and from his searching face, exactly my own thoughts. He looked at me and both our minds whirled, catching up to what I'd just done. I had just replicated myself. The implications danced across my consciousness. I wondered, well, I know I'm a clone. That's one question answered, he said to me, looking just as bewildered. We didn't even have to mention the absurdity between us. It was plain on either of our faces. Whatever was happening outside, I now had myself to watch my back. It was uncannily comforting. Was it my general disposition that made me accept it so fast, or something altering my threshold for the impossible, or the knowledge I'd never betray myself? Maybe it was because with what I'd seen above, that good news was so desperately welcome, no matter how strange. I didn't dare question a blessing, but I was still curious of its nature. Is there any differences between us? I asked, wondering if his status as a clone gave him any insight beyond what I knew, what I suddenly and instinctively knew. I'm weaker, I think, he responded. A fraction of the original. You, this is weird, man. That's what I thought. Yeah, I decided. In his shoes, which were mine, I'd probably appreciate blunt forwardness in the situation. If we're navigating this apocalypse, it's probably best for you to be in front. He took a breath and exhaled. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm a little less scared of death. Expendable. God, that's weird, he said. This is crazy, I said, sitting down. What happened up there? The university is destroyed. Monsters roaming the campus. And it's like the whole forest was teleported to the middle. My other self took a seat nearby. I know just as much as you. I can't be the only one with new abilities, I said, almost sure of it. Yeah. I don't think so either. Well, you're me, so we'll probably thought the same. Yeah. End of chapter. I would quickly like to thank the Tier 5 members, Marky, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Oakfield, Lord Azrakul, and It's Difficult to Pronounce. Thank you very much.